video OBE 1.2 is continuation of OBE 1.1. In OBE 1.1, we tried to discuss the concept of outcome-based education. In this part, we will try to see the concepts of learning in outcome-based education, learning processes, teaching processes, and as well as the curriculum development models. Let us move further. Let us recall the definition of outcome-based education given by William G. Spady in 1994. Before we proceed for the curriculum development aspects and models. Outcome-based education means clearly focusing and organizing everything in an educational system around what is essential for all students to be able to do successfully at the end of their learning experiences. OBE compliant learning and teaching and assessment and evaluation processes. Recent connectivism learning theory will be helpful in understanding how the outcomes are acquired by the students in outcome-based education. Whatever students learn during the schooling, whatever their experiences, general and relevant ones, are acting as platform for further learning. At the higher education institutions, based new information and experiences, whatever they learn in higher education institutions, they are also completely immersed in the technology-based information resources and influences like social media and a variety of learning online, offline resources. So, all these resources influence the total learning outcomes of the students. So, old and new abilities are connected to students' acquired learning outcomes. So, let us define what is the process of learning. Learning is a process of acquiring new schemata, intelligence, talents, expertise, and other abilities that can be used to solve real problems more effectively. Let us repeat. Learning is a process of acquiring new schemata, intelligence, talents, expertise, and other abilities that can be used to solve real problems more effectively. So, problem solving is the key for the success of acquiring or accomplishing or attaining the outcome-based skills and competence. Learning is a very complex process. The education psychologists have divided this complex process in 4 domains so that the changes in the behavior due to learning can be understood easily and can be planned and executed as well. So there are 4 domains of learning to perform. The first domain is relating to the mind, learning by the brain. This is known as cognitive domain. There are 6 levels of learning under the cognitive domain, and it is in increasing order of the learning. Remember is the lowest. Understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. Create is the highest level of learning under cognitive domain. This particular hierarchical classification is known as Bloom's taxonomy. Most of the persons have been using this Bloom's taxonomy for writing course outcomes and program outcomes, etc. The second domain is related to manual skills where the body, hands and limbs are involved. And this is known as psychomotor domain. Psycho means brain and motor means muscles. So the coordination of mind and the muscles together, whatever learning and performance takes place, comes under this domain, psychomotor domain. There are four levels of learning in the psychomotor domain. Observe is the lowest and adapt is the highest. Observe, imitate, practice, and adapt. So these are the four hierarchical levels of learning under psychomotor domain. Then comes the affective domain. The feelings, the character, and the behavior is defined using this particular affective domain. It is related to the heart and the feelings. There are five levels of learning under the affective domain. Receive is the lowest one, and characterize is the highest one. Receive, respond, value, organize, and characterize. These are the five hierarchical levels of learning under affective domain. Now, the fourth domain has been devised by me while I was writing my book on education technology during 2004. And this I have coined as interactive domain, that domain which affects learning by interaction between the learner and the teacher. So there are four levels of learning here. Exchange information is the lowest one and negotiate favors is the highest one. So there are four levels of learning. Exchange information, explain ideas, lead discussions, and negotiate favors. So this is how these four domains of learning, you have different action verbs to define the outcomes. So if you have the list of the action verbs, sample action verbs, you can easily write the course outcomes and the program outcomes using different domains of learning at different levels of learning outcomes. So this is a very important classification. Learning and teaching 1 in outcome-based education. Learning by students and student-centric teaching by faculty. Learning and teaching strategies used in OBE. Active learning techniques. Some examples are demonstration by teacher or by students in classrooms or in laboratories or in fieldwork. Practical work in laboratories or in the field. Hobby shops and fieldwork. Project work. Classroom seminar method. Debates, question answer based games, etc. Problem based learning. Examples may be graded problem solving based practical project work, before and during internship, action research, community problem explorations and providing solutions to them, and starting project work right from the first semester of the program. Collaborative and experiential learning. A few examples are blended learning, flipped classroom method, video meetings, online guidance and assessment. Blended learning is used in such a way so that the offline education in institution and online education at home can take place. They are blended together. Flipped classroom method. The tutorial takes place in the institution and whatever traditionally is learned by lecture is learned by online electronic media resources like recorded lectures and assignments, etc. etc. Portfolios. Portfolios are very useful for innovative approaches and outputs during the active learning to evaluate creativity, novelty of ideas, and critical thinking. So, to impart these difficult aspects of learning like creativity and critical thinking, the portfolios are nothing but collection of different outputs or products or processes developed by the student, and at the end of semester or at the end of year the faculty members just go through the portfolios and can assess the creativity and the critical thinking abilities of the student. Let us now discuss OBE learning and teaching, the concepts of assessment and attainment. Traditional and innovative direct and indirect assessment plus. It means that the faculty members can continue to use the traditionally instruments so far used in the classrooms or in the regular education, plus the following ideas. Visual or appliance supported viva voce or presentations. So, use of diagrams, pictures, and the real parts or the systems during the viva voce will give much better and focused results of assessment and the performance abilities of the students. The supervisors have subjectivity in their assessment. So to reduce the subjectivity, rubrics are used. Rubrics are nothing but list of the steps or list of the criteria using which the performance should be evaluated. So use of rubric based assessment will be having less subjectivity and more objective, especially in situations of realistic problem solving by the students. Traditionally, we always ignore the self-assessment by the students and as well as the students' peer assessment, which should be given due importance during the outcome-based education. Students' portfolios are very important to evaluate their creativity and the innovativeness and critical thinking by the students. So such complex abilities should be evaluated using students' portfolios, which is nothing but collection of their creative and innovative products processes. The concept of attainment is nothing but ratio of the number of students attained a particular benchmark divided by total number of students. So if suppose I have 100 students in my classroom and if the department approved benchmark is 60%, it means that whatever test, whatever assessment, whatever instrument I use for assessment, at least 50%, at least 60% of the student should pass through the test. So if the benchmark is 60%, the 60 students out of 100 should pass in the test. So far, we have discussed some aspects of learning and domains of learning of performance by the students. We have also seen few ideas related to the assessment of learning by the students. Let us now consider discussing the approaches for curriculum development which are compliant to outcome-based education. Before we enter into discussion of curriculum development models, let us try to look into definitions of OBE related important concepts. Course is defined as theory, practical or theory cum practical subject studied in a semester. Examples: data structure, ethics, communication skills, leadership, bookkeeping, etc. Course outcomes. Course outcomes are statements that describe significant and essential learning that learners have. Generally, one course outcome may be specified for each course unit in the traditional syllabus. Weightages may be assigned to each CO. 4 to 6 COs should be written for a course. Program. Program is defined as a specialization or discipline of a degree. It is the interconnected arrangement of courses, co-curricular and extracurricular activities to accomplish predetermined objectives, leading to awarding of a degree. Examples: BTech, IT, BSc, BE, MTech, MSc, Physics, etc. Let us continue. 4. Program outcomes, POs. Program outcomes are narrower statements that describe what students are expected to be able to do by the time of graduation. POs are expected to be aligned closely with graduate attributes and qualification descriptors from NHQF. Graduate attributes are given by Washington Accord and NHEQF has been given by UGC, which is known as National Higher Education Qualification Framework. Program Educational Objectives, PEOs. Program Educational Objectives of a program are statements that describe the expected achievements of graduates in their career and what the graduates are expected to perform and achieve during the first few years after graduation. Few years are about 100 to 150% of program duration. Program specific outcomes, PSOs. PSOs are what the student should be able to do at the time of graduation with reference to specific discipline. It depends upon the physical and human resources of the institute. So 2 to 3 PSOs are sufficient. The reference of all these above 4-6 statements has been given below. Let us now understand how different concepts of the outcome-based education system are interconnected and operate simultaneously. Whenever you think of implementing outcome-based education system, SWOT analysis of your department, your institution, and individual faculty members is highly desirable. SWOT analysis strength for analyzing internal entities like strengths and weaknesses and external entities like opportunities and threats. After doing SWOT analysis, the faculty members and the management together develops the statements of outcomes such as vision. Vision should be the first inspiring statement to start with. From vision, we derive mission. From the mission, depending upon the concerned department, the program educational objectives of the department and program educational objectives of the institutes are derived. Graduate attributes are given by Washington Accord, and sample program objectives are given by National Higher Education Qualification Framework published by UGC. From there, the institute faculty writes and develops through consultation with all the stakeholders program outcomes. These program outcomes are the statements which define the competence of the students which they will carry when they leave the institution. From the program outcomes, we try to write the indicators of accomplishment of program outcomes in terms of course outcomes. So, course outcomes are further elaboration and micro view of the vision. These course outcomes, some of the course outcomes may not fit properly with the program outcomes, so the program outcomes may be modified. Some of the course outcomes may not be synchronizing or aligning with the program outcomes, so the editing is continuously done. After some time, both the statements get stabilized. So, we must remember that the institute must not do the mistake of distributing one faculty writing course of outcomes, another faculty writing program outcomes, third one writing program educational objectives, the administrative officer writing mission, and the director writing vision. If this is happening, the consistency will be lost and outcome-based education will not be implemented in true spirit. Still try to understand the operation of outcome-based education curriculum development model. We will assume that there is a university or an autonomous college. One group of people shall be responsible for conducting surveys and contacting stakeholders and the potential employers of the graduates of the university or the college. The information collected shall be given to another group of faculty members which are responsible for writing outcome statements, vision, mission, department level, program educational objectives, program level outcomes and specific outcomes, and course level outcomes or course outcomes. Another group is working on SWOT analysis, and they also feed information to the group who are working on writing outcomes. The vision and mission are the platform on which the departmental PEOs are derived. Then from the PEOs and the vision mission, the program outcomes and program specific outcomes are written. Then from the program outcomes and PSOs, course outcomes are derived, and these processes are interactive and continuous iteration going on for some time so that the statements are stabilized and published. Once the course outcomes and program outcomes are stabilized and published, then detailed curriculum development work starts, in which again this group responsible for curriculum development will be aligning COs, POs, PSOs, and mission, etc. with each other. Delivery methods and media ICT shall be suggested and recommended. Learning activities shall be suggested, learning methods, teaching methods, library resources, online resources, digital resources, all these things will be recommended. And then assessment tools and the banks of question answers and the banks of rubrics shall be recommended, and the necessary faculty development so that they can interpret and implement this curriculum. Once the curriculum development is documented, then the curriculum is implemented, and at the end of the semester assessment will take place along with the continuous assessment using rubrics each semester. After assessment of the course outcomes, then at the end of the program, all these course outcomes shall be used to estimate and evaluate the program outcomes of the students. Based on the program outcomes, the institutional evaluation will take place, and based on the success and the failures, limitations, and the weaknesses and strengths, again, the continuous improvement process shall be recommended, which will be fed again to the people, those who are responsible for writing and finalizing the course outcomes. And this cycle continues in the anti-clockwise direction. So the curriculum development model is a very dynamic system, and it is continuously changing, and nothing is sacrosanct. Everything is fluid, and everything is interacting with each other. Let us now consider the steps of implementing outcome-based education. There are four steps. Step 1 is formulating outcomes, intended, intended abilities achieved by students on graduation in the form of COs, PEOs, and program outcomes POs. Develop curriculum is second step, and whatever curriculum we have, if some extra topics are required based on the feedback from the employers, the extra topics and skills are also considered. How students will accomplish POs and PEOs will be also recommended in terms of teaching methods, learning methods, assignments, tests, examinations, etc. It is recommended that the faculty members use learning and teaching methods so that students are participating actively in learning process, using all kinds of activities to impart employability skills in the department, also in the finishing school of the institution. But one should ensure total learning by all the students, and the principle of equity must be observed. Then performance evaluation. During the total duration of the course may be 6 semesters, 8 semesters, 4 semesters. At the end of the program, the assessment of course outcomes is complete, the estimation of the program outcomes is complete, the degrees are awarded by the university and the college, and the students go to the market of employment, work places of work, and then the students continuously keep in contact with the institution, and institution keep record how the students are performing in the field or in the market. Based on all these feedback, the contact with the students has to be maintained for a period double the period of the duration of the program. If suppose it is a 3-year program, the contact has to be maintained for 6 years. So based on the performance of the students, performance of the institution is evaluated, and a continuous feedback system works to improve the system continuously. Facilitation of NEP 2020 Compliant Curriculum Development Model. UGC has published a new document known as Student-Centric Curriculum and Credit Framework for Undergraduate Programs CCFUP 2022. Use this document to get sample POs for your programs. When you want to write program outcomes, you can take help of this publication. And you may be running program like BSc, BCom, MBA, BA, etc. It looks like this: Curriculum and Credit Framework for Undergraduate Programs. I have given the link. You can also download it. Let us also have some ideas about National Higher Education Qualification Framework 2023 publication. The document or publication looks like this. This is the cover page, published by UGC. You can get sample program outcomes, POs for different graduate and postgraduate programs from NHEQF level descriptors, which are to be attained by students through a program of study relating to chosen field of learning, work, vocation, or an area of professional practice, and facilitate you in developing outcome-based education curriculum of your institution. So this is another very useful document published by UGC. You should refer. Let us now conclude the concept of OBE. Outcome-based education is targeted at achieving desirable outcomes in terms of knowledge, skills, attitudes, and behavior at the end of a program. Teaching with this awareness and making the associated efforts in recording attainments of COs constitutes implementation of outcome-based education. This entails a regular methodology for ascertaining the attainment of outcomes and benchmarking these against the program outcomes consistent with department's educational objectives of the program. Thanks for listening, a young senior citizen. For clarifications and queries, contact Professor Retired Satish Kumar Soni at given phone number and email address.